Okay, good morning. For the record, I'm Chris Young, Chair of the HDC Sign Advisory Committee. Let's confirm access. Members, please confirm with an aye. Paul Wolf.
Aye.
Kevin Kuster.
Aye.
And Ben Norman.
Aye.
For staff, Esmeralda Martinez.
Present.
Okay, this open meeting of the HDC's SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. That order, posted with the agenda materials for the meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. The meeting is convening via Zoom with video and audio recording and will be available on the town's YouTube channel. We will have public comment materials provided for members during this meeting, or provided to members for the meeting, or provided during the meeting, or unless otherwise noted, available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name's called, and direct comments through the chair to avoid crosstalk and taking of minutes easier. Votes will be conducted by roll call. Let's call the meeting to order at 9:03 on Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Kevin, thanks. Thanks, Paul. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
And I am as well.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
yes.
Excuse me, Mark Catone is here.
Oh, Mark, would you like to confirm access?
Aye.
Thank you. If you were, let's see, we've received minutes for the last two meetings. Does anybody have any comments on those?
Move approval.
Thanks, Paul. Is that a second by Ben? Or okay, Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Mark? We'll come back to Mark. Kevin?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am as well. Mark, you available? All right, we'll say Mark abstained. And is anybody on the line for public comments?
No, I don't.
Seeing none. Okay, since we only have one applicant actually on the call, why don't we hear that application first? That's for 26 Easy Street, am I right?
Mhm.
And Dan, do you want to introduce us to this application?
Yeah, hey, I'm Dan LeMaitre. I have a small art gallery at 26 Easy Street. I was I'm following up with you guys. I was on the agenda a couple months ago, and this is where I was told was best for the proposed sign. So I made one very similar to what is down the street. And I'm hoping that this is up to snuff so I can move forward with it.
Okay, so what are the materials? Can we see the application?
It's just going to be a wooden sign, black and white paint, and with that quick link chain with a carabiner. And I literally took a photo of a sign, like the architecture firm down this Oak Street there. So it's it'd be the same exact format as what exists there, if that works.
Okay, so it's a 3 square foot sign hanging above it's hanging from the fascia board of the roof. Is that right? The way that's shown in that picture? So it's sort of suspended.
Yep. I was originally thinking it would make more sense to have it up high, but I was told after a round of revisions, like, this is where it should go. So that's, the location is per the, request or mandate of the last round, what I was told where it should go. And it's fine with me. I just want to get it up there.
Okay, let me open up the panel discussion. Paul, do you have any thoughts?
The picture you're showing has a picture in the window, a sign in the window as well.
Yeah, that's just a no, I'd like to remove that. That's just a piece of plastic in place of the sign, because I'm not approved for one yet.
Okay, that's fine.
but I would definitely remove it because it's kind of overkill,
Yeah,
I'd like to get the
okay.
legitimate sign to look a little cleaner.
Okay, the logo, pardon me, is probably a little bit larger than our guidelines call for. Supposed to be 15% of the total sign.
Okay.
I don't know if that's of them or not.
No, honestly, if there was a way to say like, hey, this is what you can do and go for it, that's,
Right.
I would just do that. I'm not very picky.
Okay, I think we're going to work towards giving you pretty clear direction here.
Awesome.
Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
No, I don't really have any concerns with it.
Okay. Ben?
No, I don't really either. I think if it's a logo, it almost feels more like decorative art than a logo. So I'm not too worried about the 15% rule. I do think, this is a nitpicky thing, I think that artwork piece could be centered a little bit better in that white space. It seems too crowded towards the lettering, but that's a very minor critique. I think also, I'm a tall guy, just making sure that the bottom of this thing isn't a head knocker. So I don't really know exactly what do we usually require, 7 feet of clearance or something?
7 feet 6.
Right, or some kind of a planter, perhaps, something to, direct people around it. So that's an important consideration.
Can we go back to there was a photo that popped up
Yeah,
that
Mark.
was better. There we go.
Yeah.
You really can't. I don't think you're
So
going to get a
that-
planter there.
yeah. No, and it blocks the access where the curb cut is. So that's kind of, I would like to have it higher. And personally, I thought that made way more sense. So I don't know why, like it could be a head knocker. So I don't know why it would make more sense. And I was told to put it dangling from where it is. I'm just trying to do what I'm told so I can get it done. But I mean, I could also like screw it into the wood above so it's not dangling down. Yeah, I just, whatever is allowed is what I'm going to go for, but it's.
Mr. Chairman, Billy Cassidy has his hand up.
Okay. Bill?
Hi, Mr. Chair, thanks. I wonder if everybody would consider where Dan has it in this photograph right here up on the wall, much as it always used to be when Lynn Birchall and her husband had the outfitter shop and so on and so forth. I think it'd be out of everybody's way. I don't find it offensive whatsoever. I actually like it. And those are my comments.
Okay. I think that the concern is the guidelines are the way that the guidelines read. It's not an approvable location. However, I am curious if it was a pre-existing, if there is any record of that sign, or does anybody on the board remember?
Cheryl Fudge's sign was up there, if I'm not mistaken, with floods left and right of it, as I recall, when she had both spaces.
Was it?
You're absolutely right, Mark. It was simply over to the right a little. The lights are still there.
Okay. Given that information, does anybody?
I'd be
have
inclined to
thoughts?
put it in this case. I think it's most appropriate actually up on the building. I think it hanging below, I'm a little concerned. That's a very awkward sidewalk condition. I don't know that we certainly won't get the 7.6 clearance below that sign. I think it's more stable, frankly, maybe better anchored on the building face up there. And if I'm not mistaken, Billy, this building's probably going to disappear in the next 12 to 24 months, something like that anyway. So
Through you, Mr. Chair, at
Yes.
some point in the near future, Mark, to your point regarding the sidewalk, I've been trying to, the sidewalk is a mess, setting aside the building itself. It's difficult to navigate for those of us that are still fairly nimble, never mind anybody else. Later on this afternoon, I am moving that curb cut that you see that used to go into Harry Gordon's old garage, which is what this was right through where Dan LeMaitre's picture is in the window. Anyway, it's going to the west end of the property over by that fence that you can see in there, hopefully. And traffic safety has already approved it. And I intend to replace that concrete curb with some old granite curbing and try to try to fix everything, bring it into, just make it a little more navigable. And that's it. And that sign actually would be in the way, I believe.
Okay, another question is this going to be a multi-tenant building? Is there a separate tenant on the right half of this building?
There is, and there has been. Her name is Laura Brodigan. She owns a company called Bro Denim. And she asked me about putting a sign out. I mean, putting a flag out front. She has not talked about a sign, and it hasn't been mentioned.
Okay, I think that in multi-tenant situations, we often require a master sign plan, or at least the landlord has to be able to tell us before we would be able to approve a second sign, for example, what the combination is. In other words, if this sign were approved up on the wall where it's shown, and then all of a sudden next week an applicant comes in wanting to have another wall sign up on the same, that would start to create conflict with the guidelines. So just to keep in mind that.
Pardon me, I think that I did, or let me reiterate. Laura had spoken about putting an American flag out somewhere on the front of the building, on a little flagpole. I told her as long as it didn't interfere with anybody's head, that was fine. There will not be any other signs this season.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Does anybody else on the board have comments or suggestions or want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to actually locate the sign on the building facade as shown in the photo on the screen presently, and the removal of the signage in the window. I think in this case, that's probably the best fit.
Okay. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay. We'll put that to a vote. Kevin, are you in favor?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to see added is that if there does get to be a request for other signage, that we get a master sign plan that may require this movie.
Okay, Billy, as the landlord, are you aware and you understand what we're saying there?
I do, and I don't see any problem with that. I think that that's a reasonable request, Kevin, and of course we would.
Okay. Great. So Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Mark
Aye.
and Paul?
Aye.
Okay, I am as well.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
Dan, and yes,
sorry, the motion was to have the sign placed mounted on the wall or the hanging sign.
mounted on the wall as it's
Okay.
shown in this photograph.
Thank you.
So Dan and Bill, thanks for working through the process with us. And good luck with the season.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
All
you
right.
should come down and see Dan's stuff. It's pretty neat.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, has anybody else joined the
Sign
call?
here is here. And they're here
Okay.
for 9.
Good. We'll go to the top of the
Yeah,
agenda
sorry,
then.
late.
So 9A South Beach Street.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm late. So this is Serenella. They are replacing 2 existing signs. The new signs will be the same size as the existing signs. And they're just going to be, say, Serenella painted lettering and beveled edges.
Okay, and are they, so do we have 2 applicants? I see 2 applications here. I see there was like a 9A, 9B.
Yes.
Okay, so what does 9B look like? Just so we can sort of get this in see the whole picture of what the 2 are going to look like together.
Yeah, so on slide 4 or 6, that one is fine.
So it's 2 of the same signs?
9. Yep, so they're gonna have both of the sides of the building. So right now they only have 9B with a Serenella sign. And so they're gonna also have 9A now and just replace the sign that's there with a sign that says their name.
Are they connected internally?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't see how the guidelines really would, how this would comply, having two wall signs at the same entrance for the same business.
Can't you have two wall signs?
She could have a wall sign and a projecting sign, a wall sign and a flag sign. Two wall signs. This would be a unique situation. Can't think of anybody else that has two identical signs on either side of the doorway.
Yeah, but there's also two doorways. And two
Yeah, but
addresses.
they're connected internally. I don't know. I'm not in favor of the application at the moment. I would want to see another proposal if they feel like they need more signage. I'm not convinced that they do. It should be a different format.
I would agree. Let's just go around. Before we get back to the applicant, let me just ask Ben, do you have any thoughts?
You say me?
Yeah, Ben.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's this, the sign is supposed to identify a business. Having two right next to each other matching is redundant and doesn't seem to comply with our guidelines. So I'm not in favor of the two.
All right. Paul?
I would agree that there should not be two identical signs. If there wants to be a second sign, it could be a projecting sign for the guidelines.
All right. Okay. Kevin, you had already.
Yeah, I
You
don't
weighed
really
in,
have a
but
problem. I don't really have a problem with it myself, so.
Okay. I think that this is just opening a can of worms where it's not, the guidelines don't allow this, and it seems a little redundant, as Ben said. Where the guidelines would allow a projecting sign, and that would mean that the size would be changed. It wouldn't be two identical sized signs for the projecting sign and the wall sign. So we'll go back to sign here. Do you guys have any second thoughts, or have you had any discussions about Plan B if it was necessary?
Yeah, so just like, I'm just curious, if they had an interest in replacing their sign that they have now just on their side with the new sign that they're proposing. It's practically the same. Is there like any problem with doing that, just, as a question? Or would it be better to just do like a hanging sign in the middle, or, what would you guys prefer to see?
I have no concern with this, the update of the sign on the left, if that's what's being proposed. And if I understood the question correctly.
Okay. So I guess I would have to go
That's
back
just
to
me.
them.
I don't know if you need to hear from the rest of the board on that question.
Yeah, let's just get make sure that we're all confirmed on that. I'll open it up to the board. Just speak freely if you have a thought. Does anybody have a concern about the design of the sign of Serenella?
No.
Okay, so no, so yeah, I think it's really just a matter of the duplication of the two signs that, from what sounds like a 4-to-1 vote, is being discouraged.
Okay. Can I go back to Serenella and see how they would like to proceed, and then have another revised application?
Absolutely. Or we could approve, technically we could approve 9A or 9B if you wanted to, or I guess it would be 9B would be the update of the existing Serenella sign. With the thought that you're really trying to come up with a plan for 9A, be it,
Well,
if you want to come back with it together.
Yeah.
It might be better to come back and
I was
see the whole picture.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I'm not sure what
Yeah.
side they want, and also if they were to approve one side, I wouldn't want to close the application just yet. So
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. Well, at least
Okay,
they
thank
have a
you.
sign up, so they'll survive
Yeah.
the week. All right. All right, thanks. So we'll hold for revisions, a motion to hold for revisions. Does somebody want to make that?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Thanks, Ben. Mark, you in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
Paul
Aye.
and Ben?
Aye.
All right, thanks. So we'll say that's for A and B.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you
All right,
also
so
here
now-
for 25 Center Street? Sign here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. That's next up for us. What are we looking at there?
Olivella, they currently have a projecting double-sided sign. They're looking to replace it and make it the same size. The major change, I guess, would be colors and font. It looks like a white and navy now, and they're looking to do a cream and gray and change their font.
Okay. Opening it up to the board. Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
My only concern is that there's no edge detail. In fact, the application actually calls for a square cut. So I think it really needs it. We're starting to see too many of those people not following through with it. So I'm okay with the design. I'm okay with the colors. It just needs an edge banding or treatment of some sort.
Okay. And just to be clear, are we looking right now at the new application or is this the existing sign? Which is the,
So that is the existing sign right there, that picture.
okay,
And then the pictures further down are the new proposed sign.
okay. Okay, just wanted to make sure we were all clear on that. Okay, let's keep going around the horn. Mark?
I would agree with what was said.
Okay, thanks. Ben?
Yep, needs an edge band. I agree.
And Paul?
I agree as well with the edge band.
Okay, I was thinking it could use an edge band. Would you like to agree to an edge band and we can make a motion? Is that something that they've given you latitude to do?
I can ask. It is a little confusing because the one that's there now doesn't have one. So
I think we approved that one.
That's the good question, whether we could look, if we wanted to pull the old application in the records, it would be something where I think it might have been requested and not.
Well,
done,
I'll
or
say that
maybe-
the old sign had a beveled edge. I
Oh,
would guess that
Yeah.
maybe we either requested the bevel edge or it had a contrast color, framing it, and it wasn't done. So I still feel like I think we can ask for some sort of frame or finish on this as well. This new
Yeah.
application. I'm
Just like-
personally, I'm okay with even a fine line that goes around in black on these signs as a border. Doesn't have to be a frame, but it's not a full bleed, which is what we're seeing here now. It contains it, and I think that accomplishes what we're trying to do as well. Gives it a little bit more of a traditional look.
right. Even if it's the same color as the font, if it was just a
Exactly.
thin line,
Yep.
whether it's on the edge or set in a, half an inch from the edge, whatever.
Yes.
okay, we could do that.
All right, so we'll approve it. Well, we'll make a motion. Does everyone make a motion with that?
I'm not clear what we're
Motion.
approving.
Motion.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion.
I was gonna say motion to approve as submitted with a black border painted on the face as a frame to finish the signage.
Okay, and just to, before that gets
Yeah.
seconded, what color is the font proposed here?
It would be a gray, so I think personally,
Okay.
they might prefer the same colors of font versus black. if
Sorry,
that's
yeah, I correct
allowed.
my motion to the frame, the painted frame should, or outline should match the color of the used for the lettering.
Okay.
All right, do we have a second? Thank you, Paul. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin
Aye.
and Paul
Aye.
and Mark?
Aye.
I am as well. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody on the line for 33 Main Street?
I am. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Madeline
Oh.
Hemming here, the designer.
Okay, would you introduce us to this application? Let's
Yes,
see on
happily.
the screen.
So
Which application you're here for?
the 33 Main Street.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay,
Yep. So we are proposing to replace the existing or former hanging blade sign with a new 1-inch thick PVC sign, 18 by 18, double-sided.
okay, so this is at Mitchell's, is it the bookstore location? Is that what we're seeing?
No, it's the old Emporium.
Oh, okay, thank you. Different corner. Got it, got it. Okay, and I'll start off with the first comment, which is PVC signs are not approvable. They have to be made of wood. So that would be something to revise in your application.
Got it. Even for temporary locations.
Nothing more
Once it's
permanent than a temporary structure or sign.
Got it.
Right. I'll open it up to the board. Ben, you want to start?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of like little doodads of information on the sign, like established this and home. I don't know. I don't know if that's not allowable in our guidelines. It's kind of established New York. I don't know if that's really needed on the sign. I think that would be my only hiccup on this, other than the material. That established New York, I just don't know if that's something we usually do.
Okay. Kevin?
Couple questions. Is this proposed as painted or carved?
It's currently proposed as PVC, so to be painted or printed on there. So if we're moving to wood, we'd probably lean more towards painted.
Okay. I feel like it's maybe a little small for the scale of other signs down Main Street. I feel like it should be carved, or it should have some dimensional quality to it somewhere, especially being on Main Street. It should definitely be wood. I don't see a need for the founded, in New York. I don't see that that's relevant to the location so much. So those are my comments.
Yeah, so let's just give you a sense of the size here. 18 by 18 is only 2.25 square feet. So most signs along Main Street are 4 square feet or so. So that would be more like 24 by 20, a 24-inch diameter circle. So keep it, that's sort of the math I think that would be relevant to Kevin's comment. Let me keep going around. Paul?
I would agree with what's been said, with the emphasis on eliminating the reference to New York. This is Nantucket, and we don't allow people on Nantucket to put Nantucket on the sign. So I think everybody knows where they are. I don't know if this is a chain or not. I don't know what Hill House does. But clearly the reference to New York, I would not approve.
All right. And Ben?
I already talked.
Oh, sorry. Mark?
Yeah, I agree with most everything's been said. The application did say applied lettering. I do want to make sure that, just to kind of summarize, I think the comments, it should be wood construction. It should either be painted or carved. The detail in that little house leads me to believe it's going to be painted or screened on at that point, because you'll never get that level of detail, even I think with laser cutting. And I agree on the removal of the establishment in New York. We frown on sort of that inclusion of information. It's not necessary to locate the business. Otherwise, I'm okay with the balance of the design, and I'm okay with the colors.
What about size, Mark?
Size, it's a hair. I would agree with the comments on the size. It could be probably scaled up somewhat to the scale of that entrance, and certainly that scale of that structure in itself could accommodate something more in keeping with the signage along Main Street. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think you guys have all made great points. I'm sorry, the designer's name escaped me.
It's
Would you like
Natalie.
to-
Yep.
Natalie, thanks. Would you like to comment?
Sure, we can make some of these changes. Just because I'm new in this process in Nantucket, do we need to resubmit? And
We
Have-
could, if basically the changes, I believe we could make a motion here, which would be agreeing to a size, material, painted, and removing the established New York. I think those things, and then we would ask you to resubmit. We could make a motion for approval, and you just have to resubmit your design so that it's on file before it would be officially stamped approved. But we make a recommendation to the board tonight, to the full HDC board, to approve or send this back to us. So does anybody on the board have a concern if we handle it that way?
I have a little one. I mean, it's
Okay.
a lot. That's a lot of conditions. And the other thing I forgot to comment on before, I don't know if there is some, lighting on this or not, but we should probably be aware if there is.
there is not.
That's a,
Okay.
okay. That's a good point.
I mean, if we have the time to look at revisions, I think we should on this, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Well, so Natalie, if this were to come back to us, it would be reviewed in 2 weeks. Does that work for your?
We are planning to open next week, but we can expedite that. Do you want revised design by this evening's meeting? Is that helpful?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Esmeralda.
I don't know if you want to approve it through staff where she can submit those revised, and I can make sure all those conditions are fulfilled, and bring it up to the board tonight.
Yeah, let's put that before the board. It seems like there's 4 conditions: material, painted, size, and removing the established. Does anybody on the board want to make a motion? Kevin, you can
I'll
vote
make
for or
that
against this,
motion.
but
So
does anybody
moved.
want to make a motion to? Okay, so 24-inch diameter, is that the size we're looking at to encourage?
Yeah.
Paul, okay, so Paul, can you make a motion that's really specific, Paul?
I make a motion that as presented, excluding the New York reference, and up to 24 inches.
Okay, and material is wood and it's painted?
Materials wood, colors are okay.
Okay. And we want painted, not applied lettering.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the motion. I'll just repeat it. 24-inch diameter wood painted sign without the established New York. Does anybody want to second that motion for approval? Okay,
I got a quick question.
thanks, Kevin.
What is the time frame when you, and it's referred to temporary, we just looking at the season?
Correct. I believe the lease is signed for
Okay,
through.
and there's
through-
no other signs going up?
There is, we currently do not have any exterior signage. We have interior signage. We were, yeah, that's the plan right now. No, nothing.
What's the interior signage?
No.
Directional signage to clients, like for more sizes, ask Kira. Is that something, I wasn't under the impression that those needed to be approved by historical committee.
I had to ask a question. I don't know that I'm concerned with how temporary this is. And as long as it meets the guidelines, I wouldn't put a period at which this has to come down. In the event the lease is renewed and it shows up again next year, we don't have to go through the process again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the sign's approvable or not. I would say that, excuse me one second. I would say that interior signage should comply with the guidelines. So Natalie, I'd suggest that get a copy of the sign book and understand where window signs or signs that are visible from the street being, we've seen those sort of, banners, if you will, or freestanding posters put up that are not allowed. So just be careful. Anything that's visible from the street that is advertising services or directing clients, perhaps, depending on what you mean by that. But be aware that you might fall under, you might receive a notice that you've got other signs that need to be addressed.
And Chris, if I may, I think
Yeah.
just clarity on that, because that can be a little confusing. It should be,
Sure.
the intention is that it should not be signage that is attempting to gather the attention of a pedestrian on the sidewalk. I think if it's a signage used internally for women's sizes, men's shorts, things of that nature, and those are scaled appropriately for their application internally, I think that's fine. But we wouldn't want to see a repeat of Hill House, a big sign that sits a few feet back from the window as additional signage, of course.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. Okay, so back to this. We have a motion. It was seconded. Am I correct? Did anybody second this motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Mark. Ben, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I am as well. So Natalie, hopefully we've left you with everything pretty clear. Do you have any
Yep.
questions? Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next application is 18 Federal. The applicant is not here, but it looks like a very straightforward application. I don't know if you want me to open it or.
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is.
Okay. Left side, right side, okay. And the size is, sorry, does that say 1'6"?
Like 18 by 30.
18 by 30, so that's 4 square feet or less. Okay, and is it a wood sign? Can we see the application again? Okay, wood, projecting, colors are antique green and white. Okay, open it up to the board. Kevin?
It's an interesting one. I think that there needs to be more of an effort, I think, with the serif font with this, as there isn't any that I can tell. I don't know that Nantucket is necessary, and I have a big issue with those two really large, floodlights going on. At that whole section of stores there has really gotten quite bright. So those are my comments.
All right, thanks. Paul?
My only concern is removal of the word Nantucket.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to see the font changed to a serif. If it's not proposed as all caps or block lettering. So I think it should be a serif font. I think if Nantucket is removed, then probably I think some recentering of the name itself will be required. I agree with Paul that it should be removed. I don't think there's a need for it. And I think, and with regards to the lighting, I think the note could certainly be, or approval if there is one, to comply with the guidelines with our lumen limitations or foot candle limitations, to address Kevin's comment. Thank you.
Thanks. And Ben?
Yeah, I agree with Kevin on this one.
All right, so we could make this probably, since they're not on a call, hold for revisions is in order.
Yeah, so moved.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
All right, Mark, you in favor?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And Ben?
All right.
Great, me too.
Okay,
That
that was it.
wraps it up. So what happened on Thursday? They didn't make it to the flower agenda.
Yeah, we were having difficulties, well, technological difficulties in that conference room. And the chairman Pohl mentioned it was just gonna take up a lot of the time. So it's gonna be heard tonight at tonight's HDC meeting.
Is that early in the agenda, Esmeralda?
Excuse me?
Is that going to be early in the agenda or at the end?
Yes, it's one of the first items on the agenda at 5
Okay.
p.m.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll be there. Kevin, will you be there?
I was planning to, yeah. If there's more than the two of us, we should probably call a meeting, but I guess it would be helpful to have a recommendation from us, I think. I sent in probably another half a dozen of examples. They're all the way down on Straight Wharf and in the shops and Center Street. And anyway, I think if asked, if we have a position on it, I think we should be prepared to answer.
And we'll have those pictures up on the screen, so people that are not there in person can also view them.
Okay, good.
So yes,
And
only two of you should be present.
I sort of follow what was written in when we rewrote the definition of a sign a couple of years ago. It called for anything that attracts attention to the building. And I think this falls in that category. In addition to that, it's an artificial material. So for those two reasons, my recommendation would be that we would not approve these kinds of things. Plus, I guess in addition, we have absolutely no control over color. So for those three reasons, I would recommend that we would not approve these.
Interesting. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I'm down to the material, the synthetic material aspect of it. I think if a shop wanted to decorate the front of their building with window boxes or climbing vines, if they're a living material, then I think that would be a hard one to, we're not gonna tell everybody they can't do window boxes anymore. But I think the synthetic material for me is kind of the crutch of the issue. That's kind of my feeling about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting question as to whose jurisdiction does it fall under. Kevin, I agree with what you're saying, but I also feel like it's such an architectural component that having the full board, I think there would be more weight behind any kind of regulation if it's coming from the full board as a HDC policy, not just a sign committee policy. And I received 3 different, not complaints necessarily, but inquiries in the last week because they're now popping up, and it's definitely catching people's attention, and they're questioning whether it's approvable. And I think the slippery slope comments have been getting made where, you might say that something is tasteful and it looks good. And I know that there was that email where the woman said, well, what about the daffodils on the wreath on the lighthouse? And that's certainly a temporary decoration. And the slippery slope effect, though, of if every shop on Main Street started to put something up, and where do you say this looks tasteful and that one doesn't? It's going to be. It would be nice to have the HDCs, the full board's sort of weight behind this. So,
Chris, I agree with you. It's tricky. I will admit, when I see it initially, it doesn't bother me. However, I wouldn't want to see it for more than a few weeks, I think, because then it naturally should be changing, and it doesn't, and therefore it screams out faux. And I think you're right. I think that's where maybe the board. And I agree also. I'd rather see the HTC board take this up, and the argument being faux material. We can't use faux material for anything, certainly not in the OHD. And then maybe that's really where they take up their argument. I believe that the installer is arguing that it is a temp installation, but I have no sense of what that is, or for the season, for a month, for a couple of weeks, or what. But yeah, there is more eyebrow raising with this than I expected, and I have seen it through social media and the like the last couple of weeks as well. So,
just as a point of information, there's been one up on Center Street now for over 2 years.
Yeah, so there you go.
And it still looks brand new. Didn't need any water, no trimming, nothing. It looks perfect, like the day it was put up.
Yeah, well, and this shouldn't be the basis for any kind of opinion, but I can't imagine it's inexpensive. I know what it costs to buy, a few daffodils to decorate my Jeep for the parade. I can't imagine because these are pretty good looking, these are not knockoffs that are, well, they don't look cheap. Let's just put it that way. So to think they're going up for a couple of weeks and then going to come down,
right.
I'm not sure where how that works, but all right. Well, so Kevin, you mentioned if there's more than 2 people at tonight's meeting, I think we can go as representatives of the sign committee and give input. But it would be great to have it be the thrust of any regulation coming from the HDC, not necessarily from the sign committee. Does everybody agree with that in principle?
I would agree.
Okay.
What?
So, and Ben, you're going to be there tonight as well?
Me?
I'm sorry. Yes. You say you're going to be there tonight as well?
I am, and I'm sorry, but I have to jump off. I got a meeting in about 3 minutes. I gotta make sure I'm on.
Thanks, Ben.
But I will be there tonight. Thanks, guys.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you.
I guess just so I understand where you're coming from, Chris and Mark, are you suggesting that we're kicking this over to the full board to enforce as well, or I was kind of thinking that that this is really no different than rope lighting or any other kind of attention getting device, that it would fall under us to monitor along with signs. But I'm just concerned that if we kick it over to the board that is already overloaded, I totally understand about getting their support on the issue. But I'm not sure what it is that we want to do after that.
Well, and maybe that's where we let it lie, because we haven't gotten the opinion from the board yet, right? So why don't we let it go to discussion, let the board have a dialogue about it, and then once they establish their position, we could probably predict what it will be, we can maybe then figure out how it's then going to be policed, which is really what I think we're getting at. So
Okay.
yeah, but I think I agree. I do agree with Chris that, you know, getting the board's backing on this and not just from the SAC, I think is important. At that point, the board can determine what body is going to be policing this.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning at the meeting, Kevin, that if only viewed through the lenses of the sign committee, here are the reasons why it's not appropriate. However, there's probably a reason to view it from the, as Mark points out, the, you know, construction material point of view as well. And what makes it any different than putting a plastic pillar in front of your, you know, doorway. So
Yeah.
it's there's probably more than one way to look at it. And thanks for representing our perspective at that meeting.
Sure.
Are there any other subjects for enforcement or any other things you want to talk about, Esmeralda?
Sorry, did you have a question, Chris?
Yes, I was just asking if you had any other updates for enforcement or anything else. You wanted to
Nope,
talk
I
about.
just sent out courtesy letters and yeah, I sent out courtesy letters. I am looking into the Bill Friedman because I know Kathy had a whole backlog of violations she had sent back to him back in last year.
Yeah, another
Okay,
one
Don-
that's
Don Freeman.
yeah, another one that's had a bunch in the past that really blew it out this weekend was Epernay. I sent a picture of that too. They had a full almost 20-foot banner across the front.
Is it down now, or was it just a wine festival?
I don't know. It was the same stuff. It was wine stuff, and then it was the chairs and the umbrellas and all the stuff again. I mean, it's year after year after year, and I don't think $50 is making a hill of beans a difference.
Got it.
Nice store. Rule breakers.
Right. Do we want to recommend that Esmeralda send another notice and or fine?
That's fine
I
with
think we
me.
should-
I mean,
Okay. Now, if it's down, if it was just for the weekend and it's down, I guess that would, we have to figure out. I know it's a game, right? I get what you're saying. It's up, it's down. You can enforce it and you can't. Perhaps a letter that says, we noticed it's back. If, you know, each day constitutes a violation, you'll be receiving, you know, you potentially will be receiving citations if it comes and goes throughout the summer, something like that. Is that the right?
I don't know. I don't know that I'd make any special accommodations for them. Frankly, it's just like Friedman. If you do the same thing over and over and over, what's the point of sending the same soft letter over and over and over? I'd be tempted to say, look, you got this up again. You're at the $300 level. If it's up tomorrow, it's another $300. They'll come down pretty quickly, I think. But
have they ramped up? Has it gone to that level with them? Have they received the 50 and have they gotten to the 300 level?
I believe so. I have to look through the backlogs that Kathy left behind. But I know
Okay.
she started sending the $50 fine.
Okay, well, wherever they left off, I guess, yeah, the next step would be the appropriate one to send.
You know, it's just, I mean, I understand, you know, it's just not fair to everybody else. And we spend all this time every year after the same people. And I think at the same time, Esmeralda, I have no problem that you copy Amy Baxter on this with licensing. It's an issue with that kind of business, and why they should do it, and Hatches doesn't do it. Why do these guys do it? It's just not fair. So that's where my head's at. It's just, I get really frustrated with having to drive by it every day. Well, Mark, you see the same thing at the store down from you.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I
It's
agree. The only thing I'll add on that specifically is we've been retained. There is going to be a new tenant going into that space. So by the time we chase them down, I think it's gone by the fall. And the
That's
word on
good.
the street is that Millie's is going in. So
Oh, fantastic.
yeah, it should be a better establishment for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, you get my point. It's like, everybody's busy and we shouldn't have to herd the same cats all the time.
Right. Agreed. And if you think about it, why do we come here every week or every other week? Right?
Because I enjoy seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. It's true. All right. So have we given Esmeralda direction? Esmeralda, Kevin sent you a picture. You can send out
He did,
the next level of enforcement. Okay. Any other comments?
Motion to
Any
adjourn.
motions?
Yeah, motion adjourned. Second that.
All right. Second, Paul, you in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, Mark,
Aye.
me too. Esmeralda, thanks for your time. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.